We are live. What is going on, everybody? We are here today on episode 53 as we keep on going with the Boxing Fanatico live episodes. We not stopping. What's going on, guys? All right, let's go ahead and switch over to my face so we can start the show. Hold on 1 second. Let me just press this button right here. And of course, I forgot to set up the. Don't worry, Hashim, I got you. Don't worry, Hashim, I got you real quick. Hold on. There we go. Hashim starting it off with the Let's Go champ. Of course, we got to start off with the legend Hashim and then follow up with the legend Michael Buffer. Let's go ahead and start off with Michael Buffer to start the show. Let's get ready to rumble. Hold on, let me just close this thing right here. Let's get ready to rumble is right. And we got Hugh Jakes in the house. Hold on. What's good, my boy? Episode 53 of 100. Yeah, that's right. Let's go ahead and hit you with the member video. The member in here, Hugh Jakes. Thank you so much, brother, for showing up. And hold on 1 second. Oh, you guys can't hear me. Can you guys hear me? Dude saying he can't hear me. Can everybody else hear me? We got Adrian Dones, by the way, as well. What's going on, brother? Adrian Dones in the house. LOL, here. So we hear you, but not alerts. You can't hear the alerts. My fault. Let's do it again. My fault for that. Let's do that real quick. Here we go.
Gentlemen.
Let's get ready to rumble. And we got to put the member for Hashim. All right. Hopefully that works. All right. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you. By the way, guys, I see Las Vegas Brawls. I see that you're asking me about Undisputed. I can't talk about Undisputed on this platform because I am the content manager. So if you do want any Undisputed information, we post all of the information as soon as they're ready to be posted. We post them on our socials, either YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Just make sure to stay tuned to our socials so you can get that information. Now it's official. Yeah, now it's official. All right. So I've been putting this together. And I want to explain how Errol Spence Jr. could win the fight. Now, keep in mind, you could know what to do or how to do it, but implementation in real time is a whole nother ball game. So he's going to have to be able to do this in real time to be able to beat Bud Crawford, who's a mega elite, super elite athlete and pro boxer. So it is not going to be easy in any way, shape, or form. What's for sure, this is Cripple Kurt. Who's Cripple Kurt? Who's that? I don't know. I don't know who Cripple Kurt is, my brother. I don't know who that is. Who's Cripple Kurt? Have you been here before? Have you been in the chat before? Gotta take a sip of some seltzer water. All right, anyways. I'll wait till he responds. We're going to go ahead and switch over real quick. LOL negative. I have a better chance of beating Crawford, and I'm in a wheelchair. Wow. Nah. No. He has a chance. Now, he doesn't have a big chance, right? Everyone has a chance. For example, Francis Ngannou has a chance, but he don't have a big chance, right? Errol Spence Jr. has a chance if he cleans some stuff up, but he don't have a big chance. He just has a chance because everyone has a chance. It's boxing, right? So let's take a look and see what he could actually do. Let's see if we can switch over to picture-in-picture. You guys can see it here. All right, cool. Now, of course, you guys understand that I've been hit with copyright, so we ain't playing no videos, right? All right, so you just gonna have to. I'm gonna give you the play-by-play. Anthony Murchison, what's going on, brother? I see you as I'm explaining everything. All right, so number one thing is Errol Spence Jr. has a default setup. He has a default setup. If you watch almost all of his fights, 70% of the time he's doing this as a setup. He throws 2 to 3 lazy jabs, gets on the inside, and hits you with the overhand left, which is he's a southpaw, so it's like wham, wham, boom. Or he thinks he's creating a 50-50 where he'll either do that or he'll hit you to the body. So in his mind, that has been very effective. How do I explain its effectiveness in a way that you can understand how Bud was still able to deal with it, even though it was a super effective tool? If you ever play, for example, Street Fighter, I've been playing Street Fighter, so this is an easy way to conceptualize it. E Honda, he's not the greatest fighter in the world in the game, right? He's not like top tier, but he has the headbutt and the butt slam, right? So headbutt, butt slam is super multi-purposeful. Most people, if you're a really good player, can't deal with that, and you could kind of spam it over and over again, right? So basically, what Errol Spence is doing in real life is spamming the jab, 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 overhead, jab, 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 body, jab, 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 overhead, jab, 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 body. That's what he does, right? So he thinks he's creating a 50-50 when he does that because you're either going to protect the head, and because it's an overhand, it could clear the guard, right? It could clear the guard if you're protecting. It could clear the guard, get around, clip you kind of almost like it's scooping in, so it'll clip behind the guard, still hit you in the head. And if you really want to protect yourself, you have to kind of raise a little bit more, which exposes your body, creating a somewhat 50-50 scenario where you're either blocking up or you're blocking down. But Crawford didn't do any of that. What Crawford did was simply move back. And guess what? When he moves back, it takes all of that away, because you can move back and whatever overhand is going to hit right here, and the body, you're moving yourself away, so it ain't going to hit the body either. So Crawford kind of nullified it very easily because there's a big tell. He's doing his multiple jabs. Now, Errol Spence was able to hit Terence Crawford flush in one of the exchanges. What he did was he didn't throw the jab, jab, jab or a jab, jab overhand. He threw one jab and then did an overhand. And let me see right here. This is the one where he throws one jab, then does the overhand, and it lands flush on Terence Crawford. Flush. That was actually his best punch of the entire fight. And the reason it caught Terence Crawford off guard, because if you look at this hand right here, Terence Crawford was ready to hit him with a right hook. He was ready to hit him with a right hook because he knew that he was going to throw maybe another jab. Oh, boxing video game wishlist poll, what's going on, brother? He thought maybe he was going to throw another jab, so then Terence Crawford was going to hit him with a right hook, right? Because he's doing this the whole time, or it's the reverse. I'm a righty, so I fight with my jab hand being my left hand, but he's doing this the whole time. So he's expecting 1, 2, and 3s, right? He's not expecting one and then boom. So that caught Crawford flush as Crawford was going to try to counter. The problem is that Errol Spence is incredibly one-dimensional, while Terence Crawford is multi-dimensional. And how is Terence Crawford multi-dimensional? There are moments like this one where Terence Crawford does not move back. So, for example, Errol Spence is throwing the jab, right? Okay, just think of it as if I was a lefty, because it's too hard for me to. I'm too used to doing it like this. All right, so he's throwing the jab and he's stepping in with that overhand to make sure he clears the guard, make sure he scoops, right? But what happens when Crawford is constantly moving back, constantly moving back, constantly moving back? What are you going to do next time? You're going to go, oh, cool, I got it. I'm going to move forward and do it. But then when Crawford senses that desperation and that you're ready to move forward, what Crawford does, or maybe you move forward a few times and he's like, oh, okay. What Crawford does next is he does not move. So you actually, what ended up happening here with Errol Spence, it looks like he's entering somewhat naked in the sense where he's not throwing anything, but he's actually trying to step in, then do the overhand. But as he steps in, Crawford doesn't move, catches him, right? And the reason that these things work is because Crawford is consistently subverting Errol Spence's expectations. Errol Spence never subverted Terence Crawford's expectations. When he did, and he had some success with it, he went to that well all day, all night. And that didn't help him because all Terence Crawford had to do was readjust. As soon as he saw that he was possibly throwing punches off of the one jab, then Terence Crawford started to navigate from one jab as opposed to the freedom of waiting for one or two or three jabs. On top of that, Errol Spence doesn't throw any stiff jabs either. He doesn't actually work off of the jab itself. And for some weird reason, Errol Spence has to have, let me see if we could, there's some other stuff that I'm going to break down right now, but Errol Spence has to hit you with either the overhand or the body shot. He has to. It's like he doesn't know any other setup that will work as efficiently. And because, like I said, that type of style or the way he does it works with 99.9% of pros, to him, it feels like an effective style that he can consistently use, right? But in reality, Crawford, when he takes it away, he needs to have a plan B, C, D, E. He needs to have consistent things that he can bring to the table. Now, one thing that's super important is he's going to look at tape and he's going to tell himself, okay, he stopped me from doing this and this. I got to figure out something to be able to do this and this, or something to make him thinking that I'm doing this and actually land the punch. He needs to not just think that. He needs to think, I need to do something else that's going to circumvent what he's doing, have another thing in my back pocket if that doesn't work, have another thing in my back pocket if that doesn't work, and have another thing in my back pocket if that doesn't work. One example that he could use, instead of just doing this all the time, right? Instead of just doing jab, 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 overhand, right? Instead of just doing that, he could go jab, jab. He could go jab, 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 roll, and hit either with a body shot or uppercut, or he could do the overhand, but when he does the overhand after throwing some jabs, he can roll to avoid anything that Terence Crawford is going to do as a follow-up. He wasn't doing that. He was just hoping that this thing was going to work, right? Now, what happens when things don't work? You become a little bit more predictable because there's a sense of desperation, and he needs to be conscious of that. And he needs to be conscious that somebody like Bud Crawford is going to pick up on that. So what does that mean? Since Bud Crawford was effectively moving backwards on his attack all the time, the entire night, because it's very easy. It's the overhand that's coming or the body shot. One of those two things. What ends up happening is whenever Errol Spence has Terence Crawford's back on the ropes, he thinks it's Christmas because he's thinking in his head, in this situation, Terence Crawford cannot step back, so I got him. This is where Terence Crawford, in the line of fire, makes sure he shoots his shot as quickly as possible to catch Errol Spence because he knows that Errol Spence is going to overcommit. It's almost like if you're ever like doing something or any kind of, it's hard to explain, but if you're ever in you get some success, or you know that, oh, I got him locked, I got him trapped here, I got him trapped, you're going to overcommit because you've been kind of deprived of success in the middle of the ring. So you're like, oh, I got him, his back on the ropes, now it's time. And you're super overzealous. You become overzealous and you just go for the attack. That's how he got caught with that uppercut counter by Crawford. Because sure, Crawford can't escape anywhere, but maybe that's what he wants you to think. That's what he wants you to feel. If Crawford wants you to overcommit, he could say to himself, cool, I'm going to put my back against the ropes and I'm going to let you feel like you about to go ham. Because I can't go anywhere. This whole time, every time you did your setup, I moved back. There ain't no moving back anymore. So give me your best shot. And that's when Errol Spence is like, boom, boom. Oh, here we go. Or here we go. And then boom, he got caught with the uppercut. And Crawford knew that this uppercut was much shorter and much easier to land inside the pocket. And it was going to land on the target before Errol Spence's overhand landed on Bud Crawford. He knew that. He knew that. Another thing that he needs to stop doing is the constant reset right in front of Terence Crawford. He'll throw the jab, and if he sees that Terence Crawford kind of moved a little bit, he already feels defeated. Like, oh, well, I'm not going to be able to step inside. So he kind of gives up, and then Terence Crawford sees that reset and immediately attacks. And this is what happened here. He immediately attacked him here. Another thing that he has to be very careful of is not understanding the spacing between him and Terence Crawford, because Terence Crawford is always going to find the space to land his big shots. And this is something that he did because, again, he's doing the overhand here again. Because watch any Errol Spence fight. If you've not seen, if after this video or this breakdown, you don't see Errol Spence's fighting in a completely different way, you will. Or before this video, if you've not seen this, you will. If you go and watch his fights, almost 70% of the time, it's jab, 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 overhand, jab, 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 body shot. Because to him, that's his 50-50. That's his thing where he's like, you need a guess. You need a guess. And when you have to guess, anything can happen, right? It's a coin flip. So, but like I said, Crawford took that away from him. So here he's throwing that overhand right, and look how much space he's giving Crawford after he throws that overhand right. And Crawford actually, this is a moment where Crawford just caught it. Once he felt it, he shot his back. Boom, caught him right there because he feels it. Hit the glove. The moment he feels it, he knows this hand might be like this. This hand might be protected, but he knows this one has to retract. So he's gonna shoot his immediately before he retracts his hand from the punch. So as you see here, he actually does land this shot because Errol Spence's hand has not retracted yet to defend himself. But what does Errol Spence have to do in a situation like this? Notice, this is why I'm saying that he needs to add more flavor to the things that he's doing. If he rolls, right? If he sets up his body to not just, like, you see how he has his foot right here, is all committed to this overhand. It's like if this overhand fails, everything fails, right? It's like this overhand is too big to fail. Because if it fails, everything comes down. The whole corporation comes down. What he needs to do is do all of this stuff up here, but have his feet prepared so that he could roll under. He could roll under that overhand that's coming from Terence Crawford, or that right hook that's coming from Terence Crawford. So if he could do the jab, jab, right hook, roll under, and then he could probably get a little bit of an angle on Terence Crawford over here, hit him to the body, hit him straight to the head, and that could definitely assist him in applying a different type of pressure that Crawford would have to think about. He has to think of a different type of pressure now because he's like, oh, I can't freely just attack right after you throw that overhand right. Because I'm telling you, if you watch Errol Spence fight, he's very successful with this jab overhand or jab body shot. Jab hook to the body. But when it fails, he's like a little bit of a deer in the headlights. He doesn't really move. He stays there like he's kind of lost. Like, oh, damn, it didn't work. Okay, time to try it again. That's literally how the energy that you get from Errol Spence when he's fighting. So in a sequence like this, the best thing for him to do is to maybe roll under this punch. And even if Terence Crawford does not throw that shot, he should be rolling sometimes as well, preemptively, proactively. Because what it does is, the thing with boxing is all a mind game, Right now, Terence Crawford in this fight has complete control over Errol Spence's mind. He knows what punches he likes to throw. He knows when he wants to throw them. He knows when he's going to throw them. He knows everything. While Errol Spence is not doing anything to create any kind of like mental stack on Terence Crawford's mind. So if he rolls preemptively, maybe Terence Crawford doesn't throw this right hook, right? Maybe he doesn't throw this right hook because the fact that you proactively are doing it makes Terence Crawford not feel confident to be like, oh, I'm just going to throw a right hook whenever you throw that overhand right. So it's not so much, sometimes it's not just, did you make him miss? It's what did you put in his mind so that an offensive tool that he could use, he doesn't use because he's worried about what could happen if he leaves himself open. Right, so Errol Spence needs to just add more flavor. Also, he needs to start mixing it up with the jab itself. Because yes, the jab is a great tool to get on the inside. A very, very good tool. Let me see if I got any more. No, I don't got no more. All right, so it's a very good tool to get on the inside. But the way this one worked was because he threw one jab and then hit him, right? Or he threw one jab and then hit him, right? But if he sees that works, and then now for the rest of the fight or for the majority of the fight, he's going to be throwing one jab and then, which is what he did, it's too easy for Crawford. So you got to mix it up. You have to make him insecure about the things that you're going to do. You have to make him insecure about the things that you're going to do. So the best thing for him to do is to sometimes just throw one jab and then go for it. Or other times, throw two and go for it. Or other times, throw three, whatever. He doubles it up, whatever. Sometimes throw a stiff jab where the jab is the main character in that sequence and not your overhand right. And then you could kind of assess what's happening and maybe throw, or the overhand left, assess what's happening and maybe throw that overhand left. But he needs to find pockets where he's creating more insecurity in Terence Crawford's mind. Now, this is not by any way easy to do with Terence Crawford, because what's going to happen, Terence Crawford's boxing IQ is so high. You can give him a lot of stuff and he's going to stack all of that stuff, and he's going to take all of that stuff into account, and he's going to try to formulate a system that can outmaneuver all of those things at once, which is what he did. So the boxers who are not at the elite level, or some boxers who are not the greatest, they'll work within the 50-50. They'll work within the 50-50. For example, they'll try to block high and guess, and try to block low and guess, right? But the boxers who are super elite, they won't even give you a 50-50. They'll take it completely away from you. That's what's called taking somebody's a tool or best weapon away from them. When somebody says, "Oh, I took it away from you," it's not that I'm just beating you up more. No, when you say I took it away from you, is that all scenarios where that would be effective is not. It's not, because I figured out a thing that could take it completely away. I figured out something that takes it completely away. One perfect example is how Mayweather took away Manny Pacquiao's angling. He basically kept Manny Pacquiao at distance the whole time. He had a longer reach, so he was good in that range. And if Manny came even close to him, he would back up towards the ropes and put his guard up. And because the ropes are right here, there's no way that Manny could angle on this side or this side, because the ropes was right here. So he was always protected by the barrier of the ropes. So he could just turn with Manny, and Manny could never get like a really deep angle on Floyd Mayweather. He couldn't, because the ropes was blocking him. That's an intelligent way where on all scenarios, your angling is gone. And that was a really powerful tool for Manny Pacquiao. So instead of Terence Crawford working within the 50-50 and having to guess all the time, he just said, nah, I'm just going to step back. So who's to say that if he does apply that role, that Terence Crawford isn't going to add another layer that both takes away the overhand, takes away the overhand, the body shot, and the roll counter at the same time. He probably would maybe he'll probably step back and step to his left, right? Or he'll probably step back, throw, step to his left. So it's not going to be easy. That's why I say that when Errol Spence comes back, I hope he doesn't surface level this the understanding, or him and his coach, his trainer. I hope they don't surface level the understanding of what they need to do to add more sauce to what's going on, so that they could have more tools. I hope they don't, just black and white it. Oh, he saw the overhand, he moved back from the overhand. Let's just bring something else, like rolling to the left, because Crawford is going to have something else for him. He's going to adapt to whatever that is. But this gives him an opportunity, a chance, because that jab, overhand, jab, body shot, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And if you don't have to take my word for it, watch any Errol Spence fight. This is another reason why when people say, oh man, he wasn't himself, I've never seen him like that. That's because most people just don't understand what they're looking at when they're looking at boxing. He was doing exactly what he always does in all his fights. This is just the first fight where it was completely taken away. And the reason he does this jab, overhand is normally when the fighter is on the back foot, right? When the fighter is not right in front of him. If the fighter is right in front of him, you're going to see uppercuts from Errol Spence. And that's where he wants to be. The reason he does the jabs too is not just to get his overhand in, but it's also to push you back towards the ropes. Because if he pushes you back towards the ropes, he gets an opportunity to come in, start attacking the body, start throwing uppercuts, start trying to split your guard with an uppercut. He starts doing all that stuff when you're on the inside. Now, there are fighters, for example, like Sean Porter, that just give him being on the inside for free because Sean Porter prefers to fight on the inside. So they both basically agree to be on the inside because he wants to be there and Sean Porter wants to be there. But guess who doesn't want to be there when you want to be there? Terence Crawford. So Terence Crawford is not going to just inside fight you. He's going to be in every space you don't want him to be. He's going to have you acclimated to chasing him. Then when you're acclimated to chasing him, he's going to do little things like this. When you're stepping inside, he won't move and he'll catch you. When you're stepping inside, he won't move and he'll catch you. So you have to be as dynamic and fluid as Terence Crawford is so that you could also have success. Because if you don't do that, Terence Crawford is going to be a cakewalk in the next fight. Now, worst case scenario, in my opinion, worst case scenario is that Errol Spence just doesn't learn from this. And because he didn't learn the entire fight. Although he tried things, he didn't really try to a degree where he was trying to figure him out. He started just winging naked overhands, right? He without the jab. He's like, well, what if I do this? And that's way too easy because you see that from a mile away, right? So he started winging naked overhand, right? So he wasn't actually trying to apply a certain strategy to pierce through the basically the cement wall that Terence Crawford created when he removed that 50-50 situation that normally always is a 50-50 for him. Look at the Ugas fight. He bang, 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 boom, bang, 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 bam, boom, 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 bam. Like the whole time he was landing it. So he has to start throwing stiff jabs because that's going to befuddle Terence Crawford a little bit. So he has to start throwing stiff jabs because Terence Crawford is not worried about Errol Spence's jab. Look at Errol Spence's jab, guys. Watch any of his fights. His jabs are tap jabs just to get that overhand in or just to start pushing you back safely or blind you. So it's a blind, push back, safety thing. That's all it is. So it's tap stuff. If he's throwing real hard jabs like what Crawford was doing, it's going to create something else that Crawford has to think about. It's safe to parry a weak jab and hit him with a hard jab. It's safe to slip a weak jab that's coming mass slow and hit him with a hard jab, right? But what happens when he also throws a hard jab? It's not going to be easy to parry. It's not going to be easy to do that when the jab is coming fast and it's coming hard. So he's going to have to start throwing stiff jabs as well. But the main thing that he needs to do is he has to throw away the thought process that his bread and butter is the jab, overhand, jab, body shot 50-50. And he's going to have to figure out other things that will force Terence Crawford to be caught in some sort of a 50-50 where he has to make a decision. But once again, like I said, Crawford is Crawford. So he may figure something out in the middle of the fight, and then he's going to have to figure something out. Now, if the fight happens and he does do something else, we could analyze it, and then I could explain what's the new thing that Crawford did to remove the new thing that he's doing. But like I said, worst case scenario is if he goes in here and he just goes in like, hey, I'm going to just try to do what I did before again, and hopefully I land something. If that's the mindset that he has, he's going to be obliterated in the ring. He's good because Crawford don't even have to do anything new. He doesn't have to think about anything new. He doesn't have to think about any strategies or nothing. He just has to keep doing what he did before. That's it. And it already comes with the danger of Crawford understanding his power, Crawford understanding Errol Spence's speed, Crawford understanding his footwork, Crawford understanding when he's comfortable, when he's uncomfortable, when to strike, when not to strike, when to stay in the pocket, when to disengage. All of that is coupled with the fact that you're going to do the same thing you did before. You're asking to lose. You're asking to lose. He'll just be fighting to go out on his shield. That's all that would be happening. He'll just be fighting to go out on his shield. So he has to be calm when he has him in the ropes, because come on, you can't, like, that's the whole thing. It's called bait. He's baiting him. This is all bait. He knows that you've been frustrated over here all night. So the moment you got me over here, since I've been moving back, I know he knows that you gonna go ham. So he gonna punish you. He's gonna throw a shorter shot that's gonna reach the target in a shorter amount of time, and this is gonna take a longer time to reach. That's why even though he hit him, Errol Spence actually landed this shot still on Terence Crawford, even though Terence Crawford did the uppercut. But because Terence Crawford's punch was much shorter and it was prepared, it dropped Errol Spence, and it came from down here, so he didn't even see it. So it was even worse. So Errol Spence basically just needs to add more flavor to his jab, overhand, jab, body attack. He needs to have a secondary weapon so that he doesn't get caught with stuff like, let me see. So he doesn't get caught with, where is it? So he doesn't get caught with stuff like this. He needs to add like a little bit of a roll here or something, or he needs to attack the body. Also, he needs to throw, straight shots as well. He needs to start throwing straight shots. He doesn't throw straight shots. He's throwing he doesn't do this ever, right? Because in his mind, he's probably like, oh, it could easily be blocked. Cool, it could easily be blocked, but it's safer. Because if you go like this and he's thinking you going with an overhand, your protector, your hand could come back to protect you much quicker than if you're doing an off-balance overhand that you got to bring back up. So if you just go bang, 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 boom, you're doing something else that's creating more mental stack for Terence Crawford. So basically, he has to create more mental stack for Terence Crawford, because that just simplistic movement that he does that has worked, by the way, it has worked with other people. It's the perfect comparison that I can make right now, understanding this, is if you've played Street Fighter or any of these fighting games, but Street Fighter specifically because of this character, E Honda has the headbutt and the butt slam. Headbutt and butt slam. Headbutt and butt slam. And a really good player can just hammer that and not need much else, because it's just a perfect tool, right? It's like you gotta guess the headbutt, you gotta guess the butt slam, you gotta guess the headbutt, you gotta guess the butt slam. Like if you're going for the headbutt, if you're on the ground, he gonna hit you. If you jump, the butt slam goes diagonal, is gonna hit you, right? If you stay there, it goes diagonal, comes down, it's gonna hit you from the top. So if you try to jump it, it's gonna still hit you. The only thing you could do is block, but if you block, it don't bother him because he's good, right? So a really good player would be able to take that away from a good E Honda player. But like the most people from an elite E Honda player, they're gonna struggle with that. They're going to struggle with that. The same thing with this, right? Because you're getting blinded by the jab, right? You have to put your guard kind of to protect from the jab. And then it's an overhand. So it's coming back over here and it's hitting and it's bringing, like it's coming in. So even if you have to really commit. So if you really commit to that overhand, you leaving your body open. So there it creates the 50-50. So he could either go up or he could go low, and the starter looks the same, right? The starter looks the same. Visually, when you're looking at it, it looks the same. So it could come up or it could come down. So in his mind, it was a beautiful 50-50, and it really was a really good 50-50 attack. But Terence Crawford did one simple thing, kept his guard, stepped back, and that took it away from him. And it made him do things where he's overcommitting like this, and he's stepping forward to do it. And now he's even more like in no man's land. He's even more in no man's land. So that is the true, like, I've given Errol Spence a lot of flack because he's not going to win, right? He's not going to win this fight. But I'm trying to create a productive way for him to well, he's not going to, like, he's probably going to do whatever he wants to do. But for you guys to understand what the possibilities, right? Maybe it's not these things that he does, but these are possibilities of things that he needs to work on and why it was so easy for Terence Crawford to begin with. So hopefully, he figures something out, he breaks something down, and then comes with multiple answers, not just one answer, multiple answers, right? He needs to figure out what is he going to do if this new thing that he implements doesn't work, and if he implements this other thing for that thing and that doesn't work, what is he going to do? He has to get some sort of situation where he fully forces Terence Crawford into a 50-50. Because if Terence Crawford is not forced into a 50-50, he's going to be chilling the entire night. He's going to be chilling the entire night. And Terence Crawford is deadly because he's a switch hitter. So even though he might not switch and completely commit, he has power in his jab hand. Because he's really a righty, so you're dealing with a powerful jab hand while he's in a southpaw stance. So that's deadly. That's dangerous. So Errol Spence is gonna have to come in, not just trying to figure out how to circumvent what happened. He's gonna have to come in with a whole lot of stuff. And the reason why I say it's not going to be easy and he's probably going to still lose is because to do that is out of his character. He never had to do it, right? And because he could his engine is nonstop, that also added to it. Because somebody, for example, you could just wait it out and let somebody get tired and clip them to the body a few times, and they'll stop doing that. Overhand, jab, jab, overhand, jab, jab, body. They'll stop doing over time because they start getting tired, or they'll start doing it in a sluggish way and you could see it coming and you could counter and stuff like that. But Errol Spence, because he had an insane engine, he always did it at the optimal highest speed every single time, right? He constantly was doing it at the perfect, like, consistent speed where it is trippy. You don't know if it's going high. You don't know if it's going low. From round 1 all the way to round 12. That's why this man has the highest output in the welterweight division, and it's not even close, man. He's like at 60-something punches per round, like average on CompuBox. And the only reason is because he's just a nonstop engine, and that helps him do his little, 50-50 thing. So hopefully he does something. We're going to have to wait and see. I don't think he'll be able to implement this, because even if he could implement it, it still will be out of what's his muscle memory. It won't really be muscle memory as much. They'll have to hammer that stuff in, but it won't be muscle memory. It'll be something that he recently learned going against somebody who's just like water in there in terms of like fluidness with Terence Crawford, where everything he's doing, he's comfortable doing, because he's comfortable just doing all these different things, whatever the moment requires him to, whatever is required of him in the moment, he's comfortable doing that. So he's going up against this crazy mountain. He's climbing Mount Everest to try to pull this stuff off because he's not done it before. So it's like I said, it's easy to say, oh, just do this and just do that and just do this, but it's much harder, much harder to implement. So hopefully this video has helped you guys see the possibility of what Errol Spence could do, what his flaws were, because this also should open your eyes to what was making it hard for Errol Spence to win the fight and why he looked as bad as he did. When people tell you he looked bad because he was drained and because no, he wasn't. He threw a high output, more punches than Terence Crawford, in line with his CompuBox number stats. So he was still throwing a bunch of punches. He was still doing his setups that he always does. The only difference is that he ran into a person that actually took that setup away from him, took the whole 50-50 away, and now there was no guessing game. You know how demoralizing that is? That also makes him feel like fight in a way where he lacks motivation. If you're ever think about how you feel if you're playing a game and you're getting completely demolished in the game, and it's just like a bludgeoning. You can't. It don't have to even be a fighting game. It's any game. You're just getting demolished. The person is so much better than you. You just lose the fight. You're still fighting. You're still pressing the buttons. You're still in the game, but you're not really there anymore. You kind of checked out already mentally. So certain things, you start making easy mistakes where you're just doing stuff that don't make no sense, or you're not focusing so much. So that's where he was. That was the space that he was in, which could have lended to a lot of people feeling like he's doing things that he don't look like that. He doesn't look like that. But it's not really because he don't look like that. It's because he's demoralized and he has no answer for what Terence Crawford is doing. And that took the zap it zapped the motivation, not the energy, but it zapped the motivation while he was in the ring. And he has to really, there is a lot of mental fortitude for people to climb out of being losing that motivation mentally, because nothing that you're doing is working and everything that this person is doing is incredibly successful. So Crawford just worked off of Errol Spence the entire fight. He just worked off of Errol Spence, subverting his expectations the entire time. Whenever Errol Spence thought he was going to move back, he didn't. He stood right there, clipped him on his way in. Whenever Errol Spence thought he would stay there, he didn't. He moved back, and it was just, super frustrating. And whenever Errol Spence finally said, "Okay, I got you stuck on the ropes, I could do something," he hit him with short attacks that just clipped him before he did his wide attacks, because Errol Spence was not doing any short attacks. He wanted that setup to work. He wanted it to work so badly, and it didn't. And he didn't shift from doing that. So, all right, guys, let me go back to what you guys were saying. Sorry if I didn't answer things on the chat, but I just wanted to make sure that I broke this down uninterrupted. So if you guys come back to watch it, or if other people come to watch it after and on video on demand, since people watch these live streams after the fact, I still want them to have the ability to come here and watch it without any interruptions, basically just the full breakdown. All right, let me go ahead and switch over. And let's see what you guys are saying. I do have you over here on the left-hand side, by the way. Let's see. UFC 5 trailer is gonna be lit. Yo, that's tomorrow. My man got the... Oh, I learned that dude's name is Volkanovski, right? That's who that guy is, Volkanovski. I learned that because people would tell me how I don't know Volkanovski. Well, that's him, right? Volkanovski, that's the guy. I'm learning. See, I'm learning. I'm getting acclimated with the UFC 5 stuff, because we're gonna be playing. One thing I definitely am is a competitor, so I might play that game and still get good at it. You know what I'm saying? Because I was good at EA MMA, and I wasn't even like a super MMA fan, but I was a Fedor Emelianenko fan. So, and him being in the game, that's just like the icing on the cake for me. All right, let me see here. Hold on. Let's see. And what's Crawford going to be doing while he's trying to do all this? If he could have made it happen, the first fight would have happened had he had nothing. Crawford, no, because he wasn't even attempting it. He wasn't attempting to do it on a consistent basis in the first fight. He wasn't. The reason he didn't, if he could have done it, but he didn't do it or whatever, the reason is because he doesn't know how to do it. Just because you're a pro boxer don't mean that you got all the answers all the time, right? He's not a slick fighter. He's not a slick fighter at all. Errol Spence is not. He's a come forward fighter, and he does it off of the jab, the multiple jabs, and that overhand or that body hook. That's how he does it. But It's not that, bro, he never even attempted it. I'm telling you, I watched it. He never attempted to actually create scenarios that would confuse Terence Crawford. He didn't do that. For example, when he did the jab, 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 overhand, he just kept doing jab, 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 overhand. Even though the moment he threw one jab, Terence Crawford already knew that he has at least a secondary jab buffer. So he'll be like, oh, cool, I got at least a secondary jab buffer. What I could do is I have two choices. And all of this is happening in super hyper speed. He's like, I could either move back to take away all of the stuff he's about to do, or I could cut him off, or I could slip and catch him, right? So when he did have success, when he actually caught Crawford, was when he threw one jab and then overhand. So he took the buffer away from Crawford. But the problem is that when he did that and landed it, in a very one-dimensional way, he kept doing that because he landed that punch that one time. So instead of just like, oh, let me keep doing, no, he stayed doing like the one thing consistently, and it didn't it didn't subvert the expectation of Terence Crawford. So Crawford was always comfortable. He never felt like that's like, oh, anything could happen. He never felt that. So because he never felt that, the Errol Spence, or Errol Spence kept trying it, but he kept taking that away from Errol Spence. Errol Spence has to do multiple different things. He has to throw straighter punches to do different things, even if it's his guard. It's not about constantly always landing. It's just about subverting the expectation of your opponent so that they don't feel comfortable that you're going to do this one thing all the time. So no, if he could have done it just because he's a pro boxer, don't mean he's gonna do it if he doesn't have that ability to understand, to put that into place. Not everybody has that. Just because you're a pro boxer don't mean you have that. He doesn't have that. He has an engine that's always worked for him in all of his previous fights. So that's what he went to. That was his thing. And it just didn't work this time, and he didn't have an answer for it. My only cautionary thing for him is that he don't come in with just one thing to circumvent these things that are happening. He comes in with multiple things that he could do if that thing doesn't work. Hold on. Love C Shorty with a $2 super chat. We got to do the super chat. Real quick. Not wasting my money on the rematch. I'm broke. Man, so why you doing the $2 super chat, man? Don't do the $2 super chat. Yo, you definitely not watching it for real? It's still a super fight. I'll be watching it. I'll definitely be watching it. I'll be watching it. No setups, traps, no countering, no nothing. Just walking forward, getting pummeled. Yeah, exactly. He needs to add something else. He needs to add something else, so that Terence Crawford just has more mental stack. Terence Crawford doesn't have any mental stack. He knows what's coming. Oh, you jabbing? That overhand is coming. Or the body shot coming. Like, he already knows, right? So he could then start timing things. He could then start catching him. He could then start intercepting him. And if you don't do something else, like, he could throw the overhand and roll to get away from the right hook. But he's not. He's throwing that overhand and resetting. That's ridiculous. So he just needs to add a little bit more flavor to that. If I understand that setup is his comfortable setup, but he has to add something else to tie it up at the end, so that Terence Crawford doesn't have like like it's just free reign for him to do whatever he wants. Fanatico, can you upload your reaction to the UFC trailer tomorrow? Our first look of Fedor will be shown in it, I believe. Yo, 100%, bro, 100%. Yeah, man, I'm super excited for the UFC 5. So I'm already going. I'm gonna do the trailer reaction and everything. I'm gonna replay it and look at it. Of course, man. Of course, we doing that here. ASAP TV, I'm so late, man. You should watch the VOD, bro. Watch the video on demand. I break it down real deep so that people could see the possible routes that Spence could take. My man did another super chat. Dang, love C Shorty. Hold on, I gotta give you the likes. I gotta give you the likes on that, and we gotta do the super chat. This is the $5 one. Right, done it from the $5. $5 super chat. Damn, okay. You mean super one-sided fight. By the way, never too broke for the homies. I see. All right, man. All right. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's like, yo, unless he does something different, he just won't do any, like, this is all like wishful thinking, right? Because he's more than likely not going to do anything different in the rematch, right? And if he does have something different, he won't be doing it comfortably. So when you're not doing something, this is why I tell people that is almost a done deal, because Crawford is already set. Everything he's doing in there, he's comfortable because he's done it. He knows how to do it. He knows how to fight in like uncomfortable spaces efficiently. It's all muscle memory for him. He has that all loaded, locked, loaded. He knows what he needs to do. While Errol Spence, that one thing was his favorite thing, and now it's gone. So now that one thing is his favorite thing and it's gone, Errol Spence has to do another thing that he ain't really ever like put together, like the sequence. He never really had that sequence before, and now he has to try to pull that off in real time against an elite fighter who's comfortably doing all the stuff that he's doing right now in front of his face. It's going to be so difficult. A perfect example is when Deontay Wilder came in the third fight, and he was fighting Tyson Fury, and he was throwing jabs to the body. He don't normally do that. He don't normally do the jabs, and you saw that fall apart, even though it was somewhat working in the beginning, because in the heat of battle, the uncomfortable thing is just too uncomfortable for you to go to when you're not used to that, right? And it's not just as easy as the technique of throwing it to the body. Like, oh, here we go. Like, that's it. That's all you got to know. No, it's the punishment that you get for doing it wrong, for mistiming it and getting cracked in the face. Jabs to the body is super dangerous. But that's the point that I'm trying to make, is like, can he do these things when he's not ever done them before? That's going to be a difficult thing. But if he does not do that, if he does not apply those things, he will lose again, and it will be worse. It will be worse, way worse. And my suspicion is that he won't be able to, even if they teach him something new, even if they say do this, and these are new sequences that you should apply. Coming off of that jab and that step in and that overhand, here's some new sequences. Here's some things you could do after, if you miss, if you land, what to do in those situations, right? Here you go. He'll practice it, but in the heat of battle, he's going to be very, very, it's going to feel awkward to him. Meanwhile, he's facing somebody who's feeling comfortable in there, who's doing everything, and it just all feels natural. It's just not going to be an easy thing to pull off. It really isn't. Nah, I just cut the game off. LOL. You cut the game. What you mean, Anthony Richardson? Did he bring any new trainers in? Nah, I don't think so. There's been no reports that he's bringing new trainers in from my knowledge. This fight was entertaining but sad, man. LOL. Like, I real life felt sad for Spence, and I never feel that watching boxing. LOL. Yeah. It did look crazy because we ain't never seen him get beat up like that. So it looked crazy because we never seen him get beat up. It's no way. Great breakdown. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. I'm going to watch it for free this time. Come on, man. We gotta support. We gotta support, man. Chill. Reggie Selden, Fanatico, not changing the subject regarding Crawford and Spence. Man, Reggie, I can't answer any undisputed questions, brother. Can't answer any undisputed questions because I'm the content manager. I work with Steel City Interactive. So whatever we put it out as a team. So if you want information on it, whatever they drop, whenever there's new things that come out, just go to our socials, our YouTube channel, our Twitter. That's where you'll get the information as soon as we drop something. So just go over there. If you want to see me play the game, everything, I've played it over there on the YouTube channel. I've done Let's Plays and stuff like that. So go ahead and check that out. But unfortunately, here, I cannot talk about it. All right, guys. That was the breakdown of Errol Spence's possible way of winning. And it's a real breakdown, and it's a real analysis. It's a tangible, useful thing that you guys can wrap your mind around. It isn't that, 154, he's going to have more energy. It isn't all of that surface level stuff when people don't really understand what they're looking at when they're watching boxing. It's the actual minutia, the actual dirt, not the cloud stuff, the dirt stuff, where we're looking at exactly things that he could do. I'm hoping that Errol Spence I do want him to make it a better fight. I do want him to make it a better fight. I'm hesitant to think that it would be a better fight. But I think that would be a little bit more interesting if he does more things for Crawford to have to think about. If it ends up being the same old fight, that would be so telling to the boxing mind of Errol Spence. He would have, in my opinion, he will end up being a very no special effects fighter. He will end up being a very straight up and down fighter, which I suspect he's there, but I'm hoping that there's more that that he'll show us. I'm hoping that he'll surprise us a little bit. Than just, being this no special effects guy. So much so that even after the fight, even after watching the footage of the fight, the film, and even going into the rematch, he does the same thing. That would just be, that to me would show that he's just really good at what he does. And he's gonna ride that wave until he retires, just doing the thing that he does, which beats, by the way, 99.9% of pro boxers, which is why he ain't stopped doing it, which is why he did it for so long. It could have worked against him. That's why I always say adapting fighters are the best possible. That's the best possible asset to have in boxing. The best baseline asset is distance control. The best overall asset is the ability to adapt. Floyd Mayweather had it. Sugar Ray Leonard had it. Andre Ward had it. And Terence Crawford has it. And it's not easy, right? It's not easy. Some people are just these bully fighters or these fighters that are so good at what they do. It's the headbutt, butt slam, headbutt, butt slam that you can't stop from Street Fighter. But a good fighter that's adaptable has an ability to stop those things. It's one of those kind of things where it's just a really powerful tool that most people cannot circumvent. And then what do you do when somebody does circumvent that tool? What do you do? And I'm hoping that Errol Spence, I don't want him to just show up and it just be round 10. I want him to do more. But like I said, and I don't have, it's no knock on him. There's no knock on him. But Crawford is just leagues above Errol Spence. And it was very evident from that first fight. Even if he loses again, I still respect him because he lost the first one and wanted his run back. I did the same thing with the street fight in my hub, but I won the second time. Hey, you came out with the victory on fight number 2, bro. You came out on fight with the victory in fight number 2, but I don't think Errol Spence is going to come out with the victory in fight number 2. But it is honorable that he is doing the fight. He does come off as somebody that goes out on his shield to me, right? And if you're a fighter that goes out on your shield, you're going to have too much pride not to do the rematch when there's a rematch clause. You're going to have too much pride not to try to keep getting up when you get knocked down. It's just too much pride. Plus, boxing is boxing, and at any moment, one punch can change the entire fight. So he could always be hoping that one punch is going to land. So, he doesn't look like a person that quits or just says, hey, I won't rematch him. To me, he has that grit. He has that grit where he's going to go in there and he's going to try, he's going to try his best, even knowing that he more than likely will lose. And that's probably what we're going to see when the fight takes place. It's sad and honorable at the same time because it's still blunt force trauma, right? Let's not forget. He's still going to be getting beat up. Right, he's about to sign up for another beating, and it's not. And when you really pull back and you look at it on the family aspect, and that's a human being aspect, it is somewhat worrisome, right? You don't want somebody to get hurt like that, really, right? Even though a lot of people, the way they watch boxing, they're desensitized to the fighters. They look at them as like gladiators, as like just entertainment action figures that are hitting each other, and there's no empathy connected to the damage that's being done to these fighters. So for him to go ahead and fight him again, to me, not only did I not necessarily want the rematch because it didn't make sense, I also didn't want the rematch because We already saw what Terence Crawford did to him. To allow Terence Crawford to do that to him again is actually uncomfortable to me. It's uncomfortable. That's why usually fights that are this one-sided, there isn't a rematch unless there was a rematch clause in the contract. Let's see. Nothing Errol can do. Watch the video back. See the little breakdown that I did. And then you can make a decision from there. But there are things he can do. Can he implement those things? That's the bigger question. That's the bigger question. But there are things that he could do to at least overcome the scenario that he was in. Now, Crawford is such a good fighter and so elite that he probably figure out something to take away the new thing that Errol Spence brings to the table. But at least you give him something to think about. You give him something to have to worry about and try to figure out. He's too slow for a lucky punch against Crawford. He landed a punch. He landed a flush punch on Crawford in the fight. And sometimes it only takes one. He can land something flush and change the whole fight, right? He can land something flush and change the whole fight. It was not like Crawford hasn't been rocked before. It's not like Crawford hasn't been knocked down before, right? So he could do it. It's just incredibly difficult. It's like saying Ngannou could beat Tyson Fury. He could beat Tyson Fury. Is he gonna beat Tyson Fury? More than likely not, right? Is Topalez gonna beat Inoue? More than likely not. Inoue is going to become a multi-divisional undisputed. More than likely. But it's still possible, right? It's still possible that Ngannou can win. It's just incredibly unlikely. It's still possible that Errol Spence could win because anyone can win. It's boxing. It's just incredibly unlikely. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and end it there. I hope you guys enjoyed that breakdown. This was a special live stream where I broke down what Errol Spence could do to win the fight against Terence Crawford based on what he had to deal with Terence Crawford, the specific nature of what was going on in that fight and what he could apply to make things a lot easier for him and a lot harder for Terence Crawford. He 100% has to raise that mental stack for Terence Crawford so that Terence Crawford is not just on cruise control with the easy stuff that Errol Spence is giving him, that one-dimensional jab, 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 overhand, jab, 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 body shot is just not going to cut it. He has to add more layers to it. He has to add some straight punches. He has to alternate his jabs from multiple jabs to one jab or to stiff jabs, non-stiff jabs. He has to make Crawford think about more than just a few things because if not, Terence Crawford is going to be consistently beating him up. So, all right, until the next one, guys, this is Edward from Boxing Fanatico, and of course, we're always live Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern Time to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So hit that like button because people still watch this video after the fact. We get a bunch of views come in after the live stream as well, and we want them to find these videos because these videos are super helpful. We try to change, boxing commentary, the evolution of boxing commentary here on YouTube. So hit that like button, please. Hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so whenever we go live, you know exactly when it is. All right, until the next one, guys, this is Edward from Boxing Fanatico. Peace out. See you on Friday.